Hey, welcome back, everybody. Time for our Week 5 power rankings. How did my top 12 stack up heading into Week 5? And no, you're not going to hear about our Los Angeles Rams. Sorry to say, they didn't even make it into the green room, and they don't deserve it. I think they're going to be back. I still think they're going to make a little run. We're going to hear from our Los Angeles Rams, but not this week. That's all I have to say about them in regards to our power rankings, anyways. Now, if they beat the Packers, maybe they'll elevate themselves into my green room, but getting ahead of ourselves. Let's talk about our top 12, and we're going to start at the bottom. We'll start with number 12. But first, who's in my green room? Well, 2 3-1 teams are in my green room outside of the top 12. Last week's number 11 Seattle Seahawks, and last week's number 12 the Pittsburgh Steelers. And I was pretty adamant. I don't think these teams have really proven that much yet. You got to give them credit for their wins, but if you look at who they've beaten and how they have won, I'm sorry. I just think people were jumping the gun, putting them in the top 2, 3, 4, and 5. And sure enough, they both lost, and they're in my green room. And maybe we'll hear from them again soon. We'll see. And who else? The Cowboys 2-2. They managed to beat the Giants in New York on a Thursday night, lost a couple of players, key defensive players, DeMarcus Lawrence and Micah Parsons, but they'll be back. Still a solid team. They have underperformed for sure, though. And, two teams that I think, we can't totally dismiss at this point, the Chargers and the Falcons, both 2-2. Falcons, man, they stole a win there. Raheem Morris and his team still alive. And the Chargers playing pretty good football. They just seem like their offense is just missing something. They win old school, but if they fall behind, I'm not sure they can put points up on the board. And Justin Herbert, man, he just seems like he's always banged up. Maybe it's just me. But let's get into our top 12. Who do we have? Top 12, starting with number 12. Who do we got? Well, at number 12, dropping 7 spots, the Philadelphia Eagles. They go into Tampa Bay and kind of throw a dud. Bucks beat them pretty handily, so they drop 7 spots. I don't know what to do with them. I still think that their leadership there, their locker room, maybe there's something going on there. We know how last year ended, and this year it's been a little bit up and down. They seem like they have the talent to win games like that against the Bucks, and they shouldn't have to rally to beat the Saints. So lucky to beat the Saints in New Orleans the week before, but have them hanging there at number 12. They do drop 7 spots with the loss to the Bucks, and my number 11 team dropping 4 spots, the Green Bay Packers. You ding them for falling behind 28-0 at home to the Vikings, and you give them a little bit of street cred for bouncing back and making a game of it. But still, that's a pretty poor showing out of the gate in a divisional game with your starting quarterback back, Jordan Love. Maybe he's not 100%. So, and the Packers come to LA. Hopefully the Rams catch them snoozing again and can jump out to a lead and beat the Packers. We'll have to see. So they've won twice with Malik Willis. They've lost twice with Jordan Love. Kind of strange. My number 10 team, last week's number 10, holding steady even though they lost the New Orleans Saints. And why? That loss at home, their last 2 losses actually have been really painful. Actually, the last loss was in Atlanta. The previous one was in New Orleans. And the loss to the Eagles, man, that as I said in the pod the other day, it kind of sucks to be a Rams fan right now, 1-3, but at least we're not dealing with what Saints fans are dealing with and some of these other teams, these excruciating losses. Those 2 for the Saints are as bad as it gets, but they're still a good football team. They could very easily be 4-0. Keep that in mind. I have them as my number 10 team. And my number 9 team, they were not ranked last week. I had them outside the top 12. I think they're in my green room, if I remember correctly. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers moving up to number 9. And hey, Baker Mayfield, he is playing like one of the better quarterbacks in the league. shout out to him. And hopefully he's given a shout out to Sean McVay on a regular basis. Sean McVay helped rejuvenate his career. I think he had a lot to do with it. Mayfield playing lights out and had, 347 yards passing, 3 TDs against that Eagle defense. And number 8, moving up one spot, the Houston Texans, less than stellar performance against the Jags, a Jags team that I thought they'd probably blow out. And that's following a week where they got hammered by the Vikings. Are the Vikings hammering everybody? It seems like it. So maybe we shouldn't ding teams for losing to the Vikings. Who saw that coming? But the Texans, led by C.J. Stroud, number 8. And moving up, number 7, their first appearance in the top 12. Hadn't even been in the green room. Hey, give it up for the Washington Commanders, number 7. This is, Commanders fans must be going through something very similar to what Ram fans went through in 1999. The Rams got it going right out of the gate. Commanders lost their first game, but all of a sudden, hammering the Cardinals. This is I guess it's a good football team. Is it all Jayden Daniels? You got me. I haven't really watched that much of them, to be honest with you, but I have a feeling they're going to be on TV more and more. I have to look and see how many primetime games they have. That may be something the NFL may want to modify. Find a way to get the Commanders on national TV, please. And number 6, moving up 2 spots, the San Francisco 49ers. At home against the Patriots. A little shorthanded still. You'd expect them to win this, and they did. Deebo Samuel's back, by the way. And moving up 1 spot, the Detroit Lions, slowly climbing back up into my rankings. I think I had them as low as number 10 after that loss to the Bucs. They take care of the Seahawks. And, something good going on there in Detroit. There really is. Things bouncing their way. Jared Goff, precise. Really good day, 18 for 18, if you didn't see it. And we saw that from Jared Goff. I'll never get over how much fans and so-called experts dismissed him. He's a really good quarterback. He has his shortcomings. He's not perfect. Pretty darn good quarterback, and this Lions team is playing really well right now. And number 4, and I think this is the lowest I've ever had them, at least in a couple of years, as long as I can remember, the Kansas City Chiefs. And what do you do with the Chiefs? Still got the best coach in the league, perhaps, Andy Reid. Best quarterback in the league, Patrick Mahomes. They lose their starting running back. They lose their number 1 wide receiver, Rice, taken out by their own guy, Patrick Mahomes, trying to make a tackle. I don't know what the heck he was thinking. Where does that leave the Chiefs? I don't think they're the best team in the league right now. And usually, when teams lose guys to injury, they're going to come back. They're going to get healthy. I don't know about Pacheco and Rice. So looking for the Chiefs to maybe make a trade. I talked about that on the pod the other night as well. And there could be a Ram in the mix there, someone that the Chiefs may make a run at. That's all I'm going to say about that, though. But Chiefs dropped to number 4, and dropping from number 1 to number 3, the Bills. Going to give them a little bit of a pass, losing to a really good football team, the Baltimore Ravens. But coming into this game, man, it was the Bills and the Vikings were just road grading everybody. A little bump in the road, dropped 2 spots to number 3, no longer my number 1 team. And then my number 2 team, only 2-2 as far as wins losses go, but the Baltimore Ravens, 2 impressive wins. They go into Dallas, they win there, and then they beat the Bills and getting it together. I had a feeling 0-2, it was going to start happening for the Ravens, and sure enough, it did. And my number 1 team, give it up. We gave it up already for the Commanders. Let's give it up for the Minnesota Vikings, 4-0, and doing it in impressive fashion. Sam Darnold, well, a couple of years ago, I thought the Rams should make a run at him as the backup to Matthew Stafford, an eventual successor, perhaps. And then he went to the 49ers and whatever. It didn't really happen for him there. Got into 1 game as far as I know, and that was the game the Rams won. And then he goes over to Minnesota and then they lose JJ McCarthy. And it's like, oh man, poor Vikings, Justin Jefferson, a really good team, seemingly a decent team, right? Good coach. And then they lose their quarterback. What's going to happen with the Vikings? And then all of a sudden, Sam Darnold playing lights out and they're playing really good football. I haven't actually seen a lot of them, but I've seen the box scores, I've seen the scoreboards, and this is a team not to be discounted. And at this point, top three NFC teams: Lions, Commanders, Vikings. Yeah, and we could have an NFC championship game. I know it's extremely early. Commanders versus Vikings. And who would have saw that coming? Right now, again, things can change, but those two teams look really good. And the Lions can't discount the Lions. They might be the best well-rounded team of those teams. And then the 49ers, can't discount them either. They'll be there. They're going to end up being in the playoffs for sure, right? So that's it. That's my rankings, week 5 power rankings, top 12 in my green room. Heading into week 5, that's all I got out here.